Right, hello again. It's Sarah Jane here from Natural Heating. And today I've got this lovely new little stove with me, which is a WESTLEIGH Slimline 5. It's a fairly new little model on the market. Not one that you probably find online. You probably have to visit your stove shop to find this one. And it's a real classical looking stove. What's classical? Well, it's not really modern like some of the more modern stoves that look a bit like fridges or really traditional, old-fashioned looking things. To me, a proper classical stove is something that would look just at home in a brand new modern build or an old country cottage, and it's just never going to die. It's always going to look like it's just meant to be there, and it's fresh. It's just timeless. And there's a lot to be said like that. And I really do love a classical looking stove. And to be honest, I find that the whole market in stoves is really lacking classics at the moment. You've got all your modern cylinders, like you can see behind me. You've got your more traditional fridgy-like ones with the big square glasses. Some of them just lack soul. Well, before I light it up and show you this stove in a good bit more detail and show you what she does and tell you all about it, I'm just going to run through a few feature points on it that you may like to look at, like baffle removal and door handles and legs and all that kind of storyboard stuff. But it's all things that we all really need to know. So, there we go. There's the legs. It's got 4 of them, in case you hadn't spotted that. But yeah, all the legs, this isn't the pallet the stove came off of. This is just one I had randomly for moving it about. But it's nicely spaced up that I can video with my phone underneath. So you've got leg adjusting bolts on all 4 feet. And an easily sliding air control that goes from left to right, just like so. The door handle will get hot, but it's positive. It's a positive handle that for bad hands you might not like, but you still get a decent grip on it. It's a handle that I love. I do like the look of it, but I'm not going to lie to you, it's quite firm. You can see there's quite a lot of pressure to doing that, so it's not one for those with arthritis. I don't mind the handle control on this. I really don't. So there's a roller ball mechanism that locks on the inside. You can see it's all been well copper greased to start with. We've got a grate in the centre. This is a wood burner. You can shut that off to reduce down, to lengthen the burn time and reduce down the air. And there is an ash pan with a lovely little handle that slots underneath the grate. Looking at the inside is quite simple. Now this is the Slimline version. We'll go into sizes in a minute. But if I can zoom you out so we can hold this with one hand, you will see what it's like in the inside. So there's a good amount of clearance there at the front. So when you've got your fire burning, the gases are going to go up and over this baffle, but then around a secondary one on the inside. So there's plenty of clearance up in there. So it's not too restrictive at all. It should light really easily, actually. So just to show you, and if I can do this in video, and I can't see what you're saying, you can see that the baffles come out really quite easily. Then we've got 2-part baffle piece above. And again, this one also, you can see whoops, pops out quite easily. No screws there, which gives us free run, to the flue for cleaning access. It's top and rear flue outlet. Just change the blanking plate over. And the baffle literally just sits on top of the insulated lighting panels at the side. This panel does bolt in, but for the air wash at the front, but you don't need to take it out to get access to the flavour sweeping. It's very easy. All right, now the door opens to a good angle. Certainly, there's your 90 degrees. 120, 135 degree angle, maybe, something like that. It opens a good way. So there's good body access for getting in the door. Good body access, plenty of width for getting into the door to put your fuel in. Not restricted in any way. There's no automatic door closer or anything like that, so the door's going to stay where you put it. It's quite happy, just sat there. I am just going to reverse fit this and pop the inners back in. One-handed version, the other hand on my phone. Helps when you can sort of see what you're doing. So that's one in, and then this plate in. Above it. Now, if I can make it happen with one hand, it ain't exactly difficult rocket science to sort that, is it? So there's nothing too restrictive there at all. So on the back, we have direct air option that you can couple 100mm piping to take the air straight through the wall. You knock this plate out when you're using a rear flue, and this is a deflector plate for reduced clearance distances to combustibles. So this stove can go up, down as close as 200mm forward of combustible walling. 200mm at 8 inches is still a fair distance. Personally, I like a stove a lot closer to that when it's in a combustible wall. To me, it's a stove for going in a fireplace opening. But it's a bonny little fire at that. And it's a good size. So let's get her installed. I am currently 71 kilos, so I'm 11 stone at the minute. It's like moving me. But I'm not lightweight, but I'm not the heaviest weight either. It's kind of a bit strange to compare yourself to wood burners. At least I'm not two wood burners. But it's heavy enough, it's not lightweight, let's say that much. Betty. Well, luck's not on my side tonight. I've been trying to do this all day, and even when I got my adjustable end done, this is still about an inch or so too long. So, down to the workshop with an angle grinder. So, marked it off with some masking tape, and next job is find the grinder. That's a bit better. Now my adjustable piece should fit. Right, I think I'm done now. I've got her in, I've got her ready. So over to burn time. Let's get her set up. Now 2 small logs on the bottom and then a pile of kindling. So we'll get some nice kiln dried wood opened up. I always like to use kiln dried birch for my test burns. So that's a bit of a duff blade now. Like a nice sharp. So inside this stove, we have a firebox width of approximately 44 centimetres. by 44 centimetres by 20 centimetres deep. So these will be 10-inch split logs. To be said, these are good 10-inch. 250 mil. 250, 260 millimetres in length, and as you can see, there's always a space in there. Nice wide firebox, but this is a slimline bodied stove, and that is just a bit of dust for me being a dirty madam. So we'll put a couple of small kiln dried logs in the base in the middle. There's not very much in there at all. I'll leave the disc open for lighting purposes, and then add a nice stack of kindling on top. This is good and dry stuff, and they're chopped into about 15 millimetres ish, maybe even 2 centimetres pieces. We'll stick them in there. And then one of our quick fire lighters, which you can find on our website. They're £10 for 100. And awesome things, save me so much trouble. They always light first time. They did it easy. Whoops. Ha! My Jenga pile that wants to collapse. And trusty fire lighter, because matches are not impossible one hand. And so are fire lighter blow torches when they're done up to a tick. So that should catch just fine. My air control is fully open to the right hand side. We'll just give it a few seconds with the door partially ajar till my kindling starts to catch. And then hopefully it'll just get started and we can get up to temperature. So this is upside down lighting method, as you'll have seen on all my other videos. Can take a little bit longer initially to get started, but the whole point is we heat the flue first, quickest, to get the draw on the chimney. This flue rig hasn't been lit at all, I don't think, since I did the last burn video on it. And that's probably before Christmas, to be honest. Quite some time ago. There was a lot of rain and damp since then, so it's going to take a wee bit to heat through. Because I've just got standard kilns on these, not any anti-downdraft kilns. I do prefer anti-downdraft kilns, especially with the weather we get now, because it prevents side blow of rain, wind, ingress, reduces wind noise. I much prefer anti-downdraft kilns where possible. I don't like these spinning ones. The bearings tend to fail in them and they need servicing every year and they're just a pain. Spinny cows are a waste of time and money. So that's starting to catch now. So we will shut the door. See, is it a really quite a tight positive handle, but it's a nice handle to handle. Handle to handle. That's just everything sort of settling into place. It's not even warm yet. It's still cold. And I haven't levelled my feet either. But I'm not really too bothered about that. I just want to do a test burn. Right, I just had to run off there for a second because it was something I just had to do that I'd forgotten about. And I forget everything if I don't write it down. That's what Post-it notes are for. That's why I buy them 48 packets at a time, because if I write it on a Post-it note, I won't forget later. The problem is, sometimes I don't even remember to write it on the Post-it note. It gets a bit crazy on here today. And those of you that were visiting us this morning, because there are two couples waiting to see this video as soon as I get it done, yeah, you had to wait a really long time, and I'm really sorry, but at least there was tea and cake, and yeah, there was a bit of humour, and everybody was getting on nicely, and I can't thank you enough for waiting for me, because it was just a bit crazy. So, there we go. Anyway, you can see my fire's taken nicely now. The door's shut. It's bumping away. It's an easy stove to light. It's only been going a couple of minutes. I can feel the heat on my shoulder. I'm a good way away from it. I can feel the heat on my shoulder off the glass already. And we're near enough down to catching the logs. My air vent is open when it's fully open to the right hand side, and it's shut when it's to the left. But we're going to wait on that baffle catching up with the carbon burning off the baffle before we try and turn it down. So meantime, I just want to tell you a little bit about this stove and why I like the look of it so much. To me, it's just really classical. It's a really classical, timeless stove. It's got a lovely curve to the top of the door. You don't really even see the top of the door because it's hidden right up underneath the lip at the top. So it's a nice curve. I do like a bit of a curve to a door. And a nice big glass. And a handle that's easy to hold, although it's, tight's not the wrong word. It's a firm close handle. It's not one for weak hands. Always try door handles first. If you don't like and get on with the door handle, you'll never get on with the stove. But as long as you haven't got bad hands, you can get a good hold on it. And some stoves really lack that, and you will need a glove on it. It will get hot. They used to get hot on the older loving homes and things, but the air controls on these are good. They burn really well. They look really nice. And they just fit in anywhere. There is a deeper model that's a wee bit narrower than this, and there's a smaller model, which, funny enough, is a wee bit smaller than this. But this is the Slimline version. And I think probably the Slimline 5 is going to be the most popular in the range because it's got a nice big wide glass. It's got a good big wide firebox. So you're going to get that lovely flame picture. But although you get that lovely flame picture, it's ideal for shallower fireplaces, so it's not going to stick too far forward. So I'll have a look and measure up with it for you in a second. Let's spin back. So my Leaning Tower of Pisa Jenga pile has sort of fallen forward onto that glass. That is entirely the fault of yours truly. But in the inside, you can see on the top of the baffle, the carbon's already starting to burn off and coming back to being clean. It won't take long to heat this up at all. My fuel bed on the bottom is burning nicely. I've got no need to open that door at the moment to put another log in. We'll wait till that burns down a bit and heats the fire through. I have got my trusty vice versa tape measure, courtesy mentioning from a YouTube follower, which is brilliant for lefties like me because you can actually see the measurements rather than me having to do everything back to front. So I can be a rubbish lefty and you can still read it backwards. So, this stove, how big is it? Well, the top of the stove is about 565 millimeters. So it's a good size width. And I think it would really sort of look best in fireplace openings that are 800 millimeters minimum wide. So you've got a good handspan gap either side. We don't want them too tight, wedged in, because then they just look a bit cramped. I like to see the fire at fireplace. Now, the overall, I have got it in a bit of paper. I was cheating. I don't know all the measurements to this yet. It's a new burner, so I haven't learned them all. But the actual depth, the full depth of the stove to its furthest point, which is the ash plate, is approximately 34 centimetres deep. But the good bit is the leg to leg measurement is only actually more like about 28 centimetres deep. So by the time you've left a couple of inches or 50 mil or so off the back wall, the front of your fireplace is going to be, 32, 33 to the front legs. So even if your wall, let me just see if we can use this as a marker. Even if your wall comes to stay Now you can see not even my floor is level in here, but if you've got about 6-inch gap from the body of the stove and your wall was coming to where that leg is, oh, I'm not doing very well tonight. It wants to lock. Jeez. Will you sit that way round then? No, that's not going to work. Right, okay. So even if your wall, pretend that's a wall, is level with the legs on the fireplace opening, because this lip protrudes from the front of the stove, you don't actually notice this bit sticking out from the wall the same. So if you've got a really shallow opening but want that nice big picture window, it's a lovely little fire. But these classical curves and that door frame that fits up nice and snug at the top, it's just lovely. And you'll see it even better once that baffle clears. The styling of it is just pretty and simple. You know, it's a cast iron, nicely made door, which, because it's not pressed steel, gives you some really pretty detail. Classical type detail. It's just timeless and not over the top. Now, I'd like it even better if it didn't have these pillar type effect here. But we can't be too picky, can we? So that's starting to get, I'm not going to touch further back there, that definitely is hot. It's starting to heat up nicely already. It'll probably start smoking just shortly as the paint starts baking on. I know the handle will get hot. I also know those marks where that kindling was on the glass should burn off when it gets to temperature. We're a good bit away from being at temperature, but it's staying lovely and clean already. Now, as that kindling's burning down, and you can see it was on the glass, that tapered lip on the inside is actually doing a very good job of filtering it back into the firebox. So we're going to open the door and just give it 5 seconds or so to evacuate anything up the chimney, and then put a log on the top. So as you see, that kindling hasn't actually dropped out and made a mess over my hearth, because that tapered bar is doing its job nicely. Now, with one good size log in there, we should be able to give it plenty of time now to actually just sit back, wait on it heating up a bit more, burn everything off, and then reduce it down a bit. In the manual for these, most other 5 kilowatt stoves this sort of size, our expectation is that you want to try and be burning between 1 and 1.4 kilos of wood an hour. That's not very much. That's 1 to 1.5 bags of sugar. Less is more. It's all about your comfort levels and enjoyment, and enjoying your stove without it costing you a fortune. Get it to do the job it needs to do and try and not overload it. It'll comfortably take a couple of logs. And the lightweight birch log that I've just put in is probably no more than about 500 grams. It's not the biggest log, but it's not the smallest. It's fine for now until I've made a hot ember bed layer with the fuel that's already in there in the base. The base level is burning down nicely, so that's going to be my fuel bed just shortly. So full throttle, fully heated up. Well, it's not been going that long, but it's long enough. The paint hasn't started going off yet. Some paints don't smell. This one's not stinky, not at the minute. So my air vent is fully open when it's to the right hand side. I'm going to turn it to the left all the way down to start with, so you can see how much effect this has got, because my logs are kind of well burnt on but in full height of flame at the moment. You can hear the flue drop straight away, And I would imagine it takes a good 10-15 seconds to stabilise the air in the firebox. Just let it calm down and burn off the oxygen that's in there. As I say, this is full flame. This is just the surface of the wood burnt off, so this is about as fast a fire as you get. But at that level, I can see that it would burn nice and clean for a long time, but there's plenty of power behind it. We'll let it do its stuff and have another go later, because it's early days yet. But if I open it up, yeah, you can hear it pull. It's powerful. It really is belting it out. You wouldn't want to run anything that hard. We're not looking for a bonfire. We're looking for a slower rolling flame. So given most of the inside baffle, can you see, has burnt off now, you can still maybe see there's some little black speckles in there. So it's getting up to heat nicely, but yet it's burnt the carbon off in the firebox. And the flames are going up and around that baffle, no problem at all. So I'm just going to stabilise it down. This has got the DEFRA stop in it. So this is suitable to run in wood on smokeless areas. It is a wood burner only, although it has a grate in the inside. And I want to burn it through this load, and then we'll put it onto a harder weight log and slow down the burn on it. And you'll see what happens more than my fast burn stuff. But you'll also see that as this log burns on a bit more and it's not in full height of flame, that flame will sober up and come more under control, and you'll get a better idea of what she's capable of. Right, so this little fire is now up to temperature. The baffle has all burned off clean. It's all nice and crystal clear in the inside, and it's burning just sweet. This is it turned down at the moment, but we're on not midpoint, we're above midpoint in the burn ratio time that log would burn. There's still a lot of flame on it. The flame will die down as we progress through the cycle of a log burn. But we're really looking for about an hour to an hour and a half per log on harder woods, not softwood. Softwood burns really, really quick, really hot, but you need a lot of volume of it to do any good because it just disappears so quick. So this is burning nice, steady, rolling burn, lovely and clean. There'll be no carbon coming out my chimney. There'll be a clear heat haze. It's all nice and clean in there. We've got a beautiful view of the fire. Will we wake it up? So this is my air control vent, and it just slides from left to right. And as I start to open that, can you hear it? You should be able to hear it. You can hear the draw really picking up in the flue. We're not looking for so hard and fast a burning in that. We don't need as hard and fast a burn in that. It's not about having a raging fire. It's about having a more relaxed flame, not even taking it over, having a rolling fire, a rolling burn where the carbon is burning off. You've got the beauty and the warmth of the flame, and everything's staying nice and clear. This is too fast, so just turn it down a bit. But even at the lower air settings, it does take a little bit of time to burn off the oxygen. That will just gently, in time, burn off the excess oxygen and stabilise itself and give us that nice, rolling, pretty burn. So maybe you'll see it from there better. It's not fast. It's not slow. Nice rolling speed. That's as far as I can zoom it out, and about as much as I can stretch. And you can hear it pick away quick when I open that up. The door handles are starting to get a bit on the ouchy side, about ready for a glove, I would say, for opening that. But hey, that's why stoves come with gloves. I know the handle it was going to get hot. That was obvious before I even lit it. But you know what that is? Just such a pretty looking fire. Right, door handle's hot. It is the hand up the sleeve trick. No spill, nice wide open. No spill at all. Nice and clear. Handle is a wee bit on the tight side. I'm hoping that loosens off a touch. If not, it may be adjustable. I'll have a look at that later. The air, that's just the marks from where the kindling was sitting on the glass earlier. I still imagine that will burn off as it gets up to temperature, but I'll have another burn at that tomorrow. This is on the lowest air setting, and it's a nice tick over burn. It's burning nice and clean. There's loads of burn time on that log. Winding it up, you can see it's kicking on into full airflow. I like it. It's pretty. It's nice, isn't it? Lovely looking little thing. Oh, it needs a constructional hearth. That means that it either needs to go on a solid concrete floor that's at least 125mm thick, and then you could put tiles or pavements or whatever on top. Really, like inside the fireplace opening with a solid floor, or you'd have to lay a concrete pad. You cannot put this on 12mm thick glass or slate, 20mm granite, that kind of thing, straight onto the floor. It needs, the instructions say that it needs a constructional hearth. This fire's been on a good hour or more now. The hearth at the front's cold. The hearth underneath it is stone cold. There's no heat in there. Why it needs a structural hearth? I don't know. I just don't think they've bothered testing it to say it can't. I'm currently touching the bottom of the stove and it's warm. My hand's on the bottom, see? Hand's on the bottom of the stove and it's warm, but it's not red hot. Be interesting to see what that's doing over a long amount of time. But the floor is stone cold. I mean, it's cold. There's no heat in there. I reckon you probably could put it on a 12mm hearth if the manufacturers actually tested it to say you could, because even out front, even over here, 100 degrees? Nah, it's not even body temperature. Okay, yeah, I'm sat on the floor and it's cold in here. Room temperatures, I'm nice and warm. I'm in front of the fire. But that hearth isn't hot by any stretch of the imagination. So maybe I'll need to have a bite at them and say, oi, come on, you can do better with this. An extra heat shield on the back. You could reduce your DTCs, your distance to combustibles. And maybe have a look at seeing for other people if there's warranty and testing to see if we can get it on just a superimposed 12mm hearth, because it's cold, which is a good thing.